Hello, and welcome to the tutorial for the Outline Maker. This tutorial is designed to introduce you to how the Outline Maker works and its various functions. In learning about the Outline Maker today and using it in your class, you will gain a better understanding of the process of organizing your outline, and you will also learn more about standard outline format for your speech preparation outline. There are two possible ways that you can access the Outline Maker tool. One way is to go directly to the Outline Maker program by accessing its website directly. Additionally, if your instructor has posted a link to this website in Canvas, you may be able to access the Outline Maker through Canvas. Access the Outline Maker in the way in which your instructor prefers. In getting started here today, I'm going to go directly to the Outline Maker website. And what you'll notice here about the web address for the Outline Maker is that it's very simple and is simply an extension of the Florida Southwestern State College website. So, you may either type this link in directly as you see it here, or if it's more comfortable for you, you can first come to the FSW homepage and then add this additional portion onto the web address. Outline Maker / is what you'd be adding on there. So once you type that in, you'll be brought to the landing page or login page for the Outline Maker tool. You'll notice on this first page that the Outline Maker is asking you to log in with your portal username and your portal password. If you do not know your portal username and portal password, or if you are having trouble logging in, you want to contact the IT help desk to resolve this issue, because you will not be able to access the Outline Maker tool without logging in. I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And for those of you who are walking through this with me, which is preferred to learn about it, go ahead and log yourself in there as well. And you will be brought to the first step in the Outline Maker tool. On the first page of the Outline Maker, you will be asked to do three things, and that is to enter a topic, select your general purpose from the drop-down menu, and then also enter your specific purpose. Now, before we do those things, there are a couple of things that I want to note here on this first page. Whenever you're accessing the Outline Maker tool, you do want to make sure that you are using an updated version of Google Chrome, Firefox, or Internet Explorer. Okay? Older versions of these web browsers will create problems within the Outline Maker, and using Safari as your browser, which is typically the default browser for Apple products, you'll most likely encounter problems with the program. So do make sure that you are using an updated version of one of these web browsers listed here. Okay? Over on the right side of the page, you'll notice this section of information. Okay? And with that information is a scroll bar so that you can completely see what's available. This information is instructional material meant to guide you through the outline, and it's going to pertain to the particular sections of the outline that you're working on. For our first page here, as we've already mentioned, we are working on our topic, general purpose, and specific purpose, so the information and examples contained here will deal with those things. Alright. Now, as we go on to enter our topic, general purpose, and specific purpose, a couple of additional things to note here. At this point, you should be aware of what your general and specific purpose are going to be. If you are planning to inform your audience, you would then choose your general purpose as informative, and if you're persuading, you would of course then choose to persuade. If you are not sure what your general purpose is, you do want to consult your directions for this assignment, or speak with your instructor to see if you are informing or persuading. Secondly, there are two ways that you can form a specific purpose statement, and those two ways are exemplified and explained over on the instructional pane. A specific purpose statement can be written as either an infinitive statement or as a declarative sentence. The style of your specific purpose statement is going to depend upon both your general purpose and the preference of your instructor. So you do want to check with your instructor to see what the appropriate style specific purpose statement will be. For my outline today, I'm going to choose the declarative sentence style. Alright, so I've input my specific purpose, and of course my topic here is cats. This is an informative speech, and I am all set to proceed from here. Alright, so once you've input that first stage of information, you have started your sentence outline in the Outline Maker program. And you'll notice as you get to the second page, third page, and all subsequent pages in the Outline Maker that your topic and both your general and specific purpose will be displayed at the top. It's helpful for you to have your specific purpose statement up here so that you can be keeping in mind what that specific purpose statement is as you work through the Outline Maker. All of your information should be relevant to that specific purpose, so please refer to that specific purpose as you need to while working through the Outline Maker. Again, over here on the right, you've got more instructional information displayed pertaining to what you're doing on this next step, which happens to be your first level of points, which are your main points, or Roman numerals, and your transition statements. The scroll bar is active and available there for you to scroll through that information, and this particular section has a lot of great examples and information for you. Okay, so again, be encouraged to use that information. You'll notice here that the Outline Maker defaults to expanding for you 2 transition statements and 2 main points. While this is adequate for standard outline format, in most cases you will be having at least 3 main points. So in most cases you will need to click on the Add Another button in the Outline Maker. Clicking on this button will give you additional main points as you need them, and as you can see, you can add several more. But typically, most of our speeches and outlines will contain about 3 main points. In this second page here also, you'll notice that there are 3 buttons here now available for you to use. Okay? Let's begin with Return to the Beginning. Clicking Return to the Beginning will allow you, as the button indicates, to return to the beginning of your outline. But before you do that, you always want to make sure that you are using the Save and Continue button. The Save and Continue button should be used whenever you input new information that you want to be saved. If you use the Go Back button before using the Save and Continue button, your work will not be saved from the previous section. Okay? Now, the third thing to note here that will be relevant to the rest of your outline when you're working on the body is that in each of the text boxes provided for you, you are required to include 1 full declarative sentence before you can move on. These sentences should be punctuated with periods. Now, having said that, if we are unsure of the information that we want to incorporate into our outline at this point or at any other point in the outline process, it is possible to place a period in each of the boxes in order for the Outline Maker to allow you to progress. And in taking a look at what this looks like, I've placed a period in all of the boxes, and now I'm going to hit Save and Continue. The Outline Maker allowed us to move forward, and as you can see here, the periods that we input for our main points and our transitions are now displayed on the next page. I'm going to go ahead and hit Go Back. And in hitting Go Back, you'll notice here a message box that pops up that will pop up upon hitting the Go Back button when the Save and Continue button has not yet first been selected. Even if you don't need to save your information, or if you have already saved your information, anytime that you hit the Go Back button in the Outline Maker, this message will appear to remind you to save your work if you have not yet done so. Since we have not done any work in our subpoints A and B, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Upon hitting OK, we are now brought back to the the second stage in the Outline Maker program where we previously were. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these periods, and I am going to input my 3 transition statements and 3 main points using one declarative sentence punctuated with a period. Whoops. Alright, moving right along here in our outline about cats. Alright. Alright, so please keep in mind here too, I am choosing a topic that is going to allow me to work through here fairly quickly without taking up too much time and inputting my information here. Okay, so just a note on that, I am going to incorporate in our tutorial here rather short points, subpoints, and transitions just so we can move with ease through the Outline Maker. Okay? So, in each of my boxes I've included one complete declarative sentence, and it's now safe to say that I can move forward. So I'm going to hit save and continue. Alright. Now on our next page here, as we saw previously, the information that we input on the previous page, which were our transition statements and our main points, these are now displayed on the second phase of outlining, which is considered to be level 2, where we would input our first level of subpoints, which are our large capital letters. Again, here on the right side you have your instructional information pane, and the 3 buttons from the previous page are still displayed here through the bottom and will continue to be throughout the outline. So, once again, we want to follow the same rules as we discussed on the previous page. An additional note as we are getting into our subpoints is that for any division of subpoints you have, there need to be at least 2. This follows with standard outline format, and the reason for this is that whenever you divide something, you're going to end up logically with 2 halves. You can't divide something and end up with 1 half. So for any of your subpoints here in the outline, you need to have at least 2. That means in this case we need to have at least an A and a B for each of our main points. Alright? So, let's go ahead and input our A and a B for our 3 main points about these different types of cats. Whoops. Okay, moving along here to the long hair cat. Okay, and finally, the Persian cat. Alright, so I've input my 2 subpoints for each of my main points, and again here you'll see, or you'll notice here, that you do have the option to add more subpoints if you wanted to. As we saw previously, when we click Add Another, we are given an additional point underneath, and we can input more information if we need to. Okay? So, having input these first level of subpoints, I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Continue. Okay, now, we need to address something at this point that is very important to keep in mind as you're working through the outline from the first stage to the very last. We talked about using the Save and Continue button, the Go Back button, and the Return to the Beginning button. But what happens if we use the Back button in the Internet browser? Using the Back button in the Internet browser is what you want to absolutely avoid when using the Outline Maker. When we use the Back button in the Internet browser, we are not given the message pop-up to remind us to save our work, and we are taken backwards and our work is not saved. Okay? So we want to avoid the Back button in the browser at all costs. And just to show you what would happen here if we did input some information and use the Back button, I want to go ahead and point that out. Okay, so I've input these subpoints here in our third level of outlining, and to go ahead and show you what would happen if I don't use these appropriate buttons down here. If I use the back arrow, let's take a look and see what happens. Okay, now we've been brought back to the previous page where our large letters are, and by going forward again, we'll find that the subpoints that we input here did not stay. Okay? So, again, do not use the back arrow in the Internet browser. Always use Save and Continue and then the Go Back button to work through the Outline Maker. Alright? So, we're now at our third level in the outlining process, which is where we input our third level of subpoints, or our Arabic numbers. Now you'll notice here that the Outline Maker does not default to expand these for us like we saw in the previous sections. To add in our numbers or our additional support here, we have to click on Show Points. Okay? Now, a couple of things to note here about this level of support. While you don't necessarily need to have a 1 and a 2 for every single A and B that you have, you do want to have a fair amount of numbers or a fair amount of support at this level. The reason is that if we're only including an A and a B for all of our main points, that would really be considered not enough support. Okay? So use discretion when you're inputting your third level of support here, and keep in mind that there needs to be a good balance of support for at least some of your subpoints, or for at least some of your A's and your B's. So I'm going to go ahead and input some information here. Alright, talking about our short hair cat. And then I'm going to come down here to our Alright, and then I'm going to skip down here to our Persian cats. And for the purposes of the tutorial today, I've put in a couple of examples here of our numbers support to give us a sufficient amount of support for our topic here. Okay? And again, I do want to emphasize that you need to have at least a 1 and a 2 in keeping with standard outline format if you are going to have support at this level. Okay, so you can never just have a 1 by itself, you have to have a 1 and a 2. And here also again, we've also included one declarative sentence in each of the text boxes punctuated by a period. So now that we've done this, we can go ahead and click Save and Continue. Alright, so we've arrived at our level 4 or our lowercase letters portion of the Outline Maker tool, and this will be the final level of support that we're able to input in our body before moving on to our introduction and our conclusion. Again here, the Outline Maker does not automatically default to expand these points for us, so if you are going to add support at this level, you will need to again click Show Points. For the purposes of time, I'm going to go ahead and skip this level of support, but again, do follow the example from the previous page with the numbers, and if you have support at this level, click Show Points, include at least an A and a B for each section, and feel free to add more points if you need them, and make sure that you are including at least one declarative sentence punctuated by a period in each of the text boxes. Okay? So, not putting in any support on this level, I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Continue. Okay, now, we have progressed through the Outline Maker. We're getting towards the end now here, and on this next page you'll notice that you are asked to include your information for your introduction and your conclusion. You'll also notice on this page that all of the work you've done thus far for the body is displayed there in the middle, and again you've still got your purpose, specific purpose, and your topic displayed at the top. Our instructional information here over on the right side is still displayed pertaining to the introduction, conclusion, and works cited, and this particular section contains a lot of great information and examples for content that perhaps you are visiting for the first time, and that is the content of the speech introduction and conclusion. This might be in particular a great section for you to use to help get insight into completing this part of the outline. If at this time or any time in the outline process you want to take a break and maybe come back later, all you simply need to do is hit Save and Continue, make sure you've saved your work, okay? And then you can actually just close out your browser window. Okay? So if you ever need to take a break, you are able to do that, and you can hit Save and Continue and close your browser window, and you'll still be logged in there, or if you hit Return to the beginning, you can use the Logout button at the very beginning. Okay? So again, for the purposes of time here, I'm actually going to just input periods into each of my boxes to get us through, to continue to get us through the Outline Maker here. Please do keep in mind that these sections of the outline should be much more than one declarative sentence. Okay, so these are sections where we can incorporate several sentences. Okay, keep putting periods in our boxes here. And once we have done that, once you have completed your introduction and your conclusion, go ahead and hit Save and Continue. Alright, so you have reached the final page in the Outline Maker process, and once you're here, you're going to have about 3 minutes before the system automatically logs you out. On this final page, you will be able to create a Word doc of your outline. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Create Word Doc. And what the Outline Maker does for you that's so great is that it takes your information and it transposes it into proper format into a Microsoft Word document, which you can then save onto your computer and go back in and edit later on and then submit or turn in for your grade. Okay, so there is our outline in appropriate format, correctly organized and displayed. And what's also going to be in this Word document is a Works Cited page will be set up for here as well. Entering our Works Cited entries is not something that we can do inside the Outline Maker program, but once we've created our Word document, we are able to input those entries here. Okay, so if your speech does include research, you do want to make sure you have that Works Cited page. Now, in talking about research here, please also note that when we went through our Outline Maker today, I did not include any of our oral citations in the body of our outline. Your instructor may ask you to include these in your outline, so if that is a requirement, you do want to include those when you are using the Outline Maker tool, or of course you can create your Word document first and then incorporate them in here later. Now, we have gotten to the end of the Outline Maker here. If you are going to go in and make subsequent revisions to your outline, it really is best for you to keep using the Outline Maker tool rather than working within that Word document. Okay, because the Outline Maker tool is going to facilitate you making sure that you have the correct standard outline format and organization, whereas if you work in the Word document later on, there is more room for error there where you could deviate from the correct format. Okay, so if you're going to make significant revisions to your outline after you have already created your Word document, it's best for you to keep working in the Outline Maker until your outline is pretty much complete. All right. So one other thing I do want to do before we end the tutorial today, I want to take us back into the Outline Maker program after we've created that outline and we've been logged out. Okay, I want you guys to see how you would go about accessing then the outline that you created previously. So I'm going to go ahead and log back in here. And once you have created and saved an outline, you will be able to re-access that outline by selecting Edit a Topic from the drop-down list. Now obviously I've got several outlines in here, but however many outlines you've created and saved, you will be able to re-access here. Simply click on the arrow, select your outline, and the Outline Maker will bring that outline back up. From here too, you can also delete that outline if you want, or delete other outlines if you want to clean up your storage here. Okay, but whichever outline you choose, it will be brought back up, and you will access that outline here from the very beginning. So to go through the Outline Maker, you simply just hit Save and Continue, and again here all of your information will still be displayed. And just keep continuing to hit Save and Continue to get to where you need to be. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click Return to Beginning, and again it does give us that helpful message to make sure that we are saving our work before we're going back. I'm going to hit OK, it's safe for us to go back. And on this original page here, I am going to go ahead and log out by clicking on Click Here. So that does conclude the outline tutorial. Hopefully this has been a helpful instruction for you in getting you acquainted to the Outline Maker tool, so that when you go in there and create your outline for the first time, you're not so much caught off guard by some of the Outline Maker's rules and functions. If you do have questions or feedback about the Outline Maker, or if you need to troubleshoot, please get in contact with your instructor. Or you can email kwestfield@fsw.edu. Thank you for listening and have a great semester.